Well, hi, thanks for talking to me, both of you. I appreciate it. I enjoyed the film. So to start out, let me ask you, Julian, why don't you talk about how did this get made? Obviously, you wrote it and directed it. So how did it come about?
I was fresh off my short film, A Broken Man, which was about which is kind of the similar story of the last front. It's of a just of a farmer trying to make understanding of when Germans arrive at his village, at his farm, and just start to harass him. And I started writing this picture in 2016, and I was my sister, who was a marketing executive for over 7 years, she supported me into developing my craft and giving me the confidence of believing that we could actually make a feature film. And in the end, she was the producer of The Last Front, so my sister produced the movie. And what I was very interested is answering a very simple question, which is how did the world before World War I look like? And can we make a visual and an emotional journey out of this so that we can all understand that what was really at stake without delving too deep into historical details. That's why the village doesn't have a name. Where the road Ian's character takes, we don't even know in which province. I do, of course, because we did the research. But what was important is about how does it feel, for the audience,
Mhm.
for parents to come with great grief, for villagers to be in great fear of being plunged into a world that they don't know. How does that universally feel, that emotion? Because cinema is an emotional, it's a beautiful medium to evoke emotions. Um, so yeah, that was a central challenge and mission.
Okay. James, why don't you talk about your character and what was it that drew you to the role?
Many things really. I guess primarily the conundrum he finds himself in at the beginning of the story. He's he's emotionally being torn in two different directions. He's, on one hand, he wants to give into his heart's desires, follow his heart, which is marrying the woman of his dreams, who is the forbidden fruit, and exploring poetry. And on the other hand, he wants to make his dad proud, and gain his respect and approval, especially after losing his mother 2 years prior to the action starting. And in order to do that, he has to do the responsible thing of becoming a farmer and marrying someone else from his class and status, which, who he doesn't love. And so he's sort of battling with these two things at the beginning of the movie. He can't quite have both of these things. Something's got to give way, and so yeah, just playing with that inner turmoil and inner conflict gives you a lot to explore and a lot to play with as an actor, and it's one of the reasons why it was such a gift of a role to play. Yeah.
And this is obviously a period piece. Talk about the costumes and what that was like and how much that, I guess, helped or hindered your performance.
Yeah, very much. I mean, it kind of anything that sort of nourishes your imagination really helps. Yeah, costume was a big one. We spent a bit of time, me and Julian, and in the costume department, just figuring out what shades Adrian would wear. And it's things like costume and being on location, being on this beautiful farm. It kind of does a lot of the work for you. And yeah, you step into someone else's shoes from a different period. You step into the period. So yeah, it's a lot easier than doing something on green screen. It's just not there.
What I what I
True.
always wanted to, one of the reasons why I was really convinced that James Downie was perfect for this role is I was looking for somebody that gave us the archetype of a 90s, of 90s cinema's teenage heartthrobs. you know, with the long wavy hair and the open shirt under the tree. You know, we had those conversations, James, right? You remember those
We
conversations?
did.
Yeah. And so, and James really solidified that when he turns his, you know, the way he turns and that, you know, that the costume and the hair, that long wavy hair, to me, that was how Adrian looked like. So yeah, and the costume department, we did, the costumes came from over Spain. They were then hand polished and roughened in a manufacturer there over there, and then transported and rechecked. And it was a lot of work because there were a lot of costumes on some scenes. So we had to have a lot of dailies helping us out. And what I really, the philosophy of the costumes and as well as the dressing of the characters is that they all have to be very unique. You know, so like Ian Glenn's outfit is very iconic because it never changes. Um, same way for on the German side, like Lawrence's character does not wear a cap on him, which I did on purpose, even if that might be a little, you know, historical. An officer wouldn't do that, of course, but for the villain of the story, the archetype of the villain, it fits because he's very rebellious and he doesn't follow the structure of military order or what's left of it. Yeah.
Can you both talk about some of the difficulties that you faced? Obviously, completely different between an actor and a director, but just some of the things that you kind of found the most that you anything you struggled with.
Every element.
Where to begin? I mean, just making the film, it took 6 years. You know, I think I got this part. I got this part what
2019.
5 years ago. We
We got
filmed
it
it
in August 2019.
2019. Yeah.
No, actually July 2019 it was, sorry.
Yeah, and we only filmed it like a couple years ago. So we had 4 years of preparations. Well, I had four years to prepare for the role. It tested our patience, it tested our resilience. But when we got on set, I think for me it was quite exhausting playing someone who is at constant war with his emotions. It's something I didn't really have a switch to just turn on or off, between takes. So once I was in it, I kind of just like stayed in that zone for, from the beginning to the end of the shooting day. So that was quite taxing. But and then yeah, I don't know about you, Julian. I have this memory of trying to trying to keep control of the farm animals. There was a loose goat
Yes.
doing laps around the crew like Usain Bolt, and we were losing daylight, and it took us about half an hour to just keep control of this goat with loose chickens on the run. So yeah, the farm life can be chaotic at times.
What was very complicated, Jamie, was to create a believable world that is set on itself. Because you're dealing with a historical, you're dealing with history and loss, and also in Belgium, it's still very sensitive. There's people have approached me who said my great grandfather literally what happened in your movie happened to him. He was on his farm, and the Germans came and had a fight over at the farm. And when I saw the movie, I would so we had to handle the subject with respect, but also we wanted to make it for the big screen. We wanted to make it a big screen experience. So the movie it's quite spectacular. It tries to enthrall you into that spectacular piece, but you still got to do it with respect. However, the working with Ian Glenn really elevated the emotional sincerity. So while I was basically very focused on the visual aspect and making the movie into a very a sensory overloading spectacle at some points, Ian was always there to balance it, and he guided also. I mean, because his performance was very irradiating of emotional sincerity. It also, I think, helped to bring his co-stars like James and the other characters also onto this high level of emotional maturity. Don't you think, James?
Absolutely. When you're working with a seasoned veteran like Ian Glenn, it does just make your job so much easier. He gives you so much, and you know the scenes which you build up in your mind are going to be the hardest to crack. When you sit at a table with him, and you know you're just looking at him, he just all you got to do is just receive what he's giving you. And yeah, he's an incredibly generous actor, and I think he elevated everyone else's performances just from being present with him. Yeah, for sure.
And like I'd like to maybe give a little example, Jamie. So there's this the scene of the film, like our little psycho shower scene of the movie, when the Germans are having an attack, like an argument with Ian at the farm.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of moving elements. That was also that was the one of the last shooting days, and the very first day that all actors saw each other on set that day. Now, you have to, I mean, the elements are working against us. First of all, we only shot the movie in 30 days. We shot the whole film in 30 days, and debuting director, all actors at the same time, all those costumes. And so that was probably the hardest day, but actually it became one of the most enjoyable and smoothest day, because again, the experience of the actors brought so much on the table. Joe Anderson, he moves a lot in the scene, and Ian, he doesn't move at all in that scene. He stands still, and I came with a lot of notes on that day, and I had, hey, what if we did this? What if we did that? And he said, hey, Julian, you know what? What if I did nothing on that scene? I'm just standing here still, and everything moves around, and that so again, like trying to make a scene look big while being emotionally sincere. If you don't have if you don't collaborate with, if the experienced, the veteran actors wouldn't have been willing to share their great wisdom on this on very important moment like this, that would have been a very hard day.
Well, it makes sense.
sure.
It definitely was an emotional scene, that's for sure. All right. Well, thank you both of you. I appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Jamie. Nice talking to you.
Thanks, talking to you too. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.